2, journalism is in crisis. As I said before, journalism is not in crisis. We know journalism, and there are incredible practitioners of journalism, many of them unfortunately unemployed right now, but it is the business model of journalism that is in crisis. You know all the facts. Online revenue can't sustain a newsroom. Pay models are untested. Local broadcast news in many places, the local news division of a broadcast television station, in many stations used to be the profit center. Now in many stations it's a drag on the bottom line. And there are a lot of different, all of the business models, everything we knew to be true is turning upside down. And, I get asked 16 times a day, so what is the future business model? Now, I wish that I could tell you because, I would be, in addition to staying at NPR, I would probably also be very rich. I don't really know the answer to it, but I know that what we must do is experiment relentlessly. I think as my staff at NPR are tired of hearing me, walk through the hallway shouting at the top of my lungs, test and learn, test and learn. And it is really an important way to go about. Embrace failure, just keep trying things relentlessly. And if an idea was an interesting idea, worthy of testing, and it fails miserably, don't punish that person, celebrate it. Because not every idea will work, but we must test relentlessly. And I'm sorry to quote Clay Shirky again, I think he is quite brilliant. When he's in a very excellent column he wrote last year about what is the future models for journalism, his conclusion was he doesn't really know, nobody knows, but at the end of the day, I know this sounds very simple, but I actually found it quite profound. He said, nothing will work, but everything might. And that's exactly what everybody in media needs to do, which is let's just keep trying. There are no sacred cows. Don't compromise your journalistic or editorial integrity, of course. Other than that, everything should be on the table. Myth number 3, there are fewer and fewer news organizations. Again, that is also not true. Despite the statistics I gave you at the top of this speech, in fact, brand new news organizations are springing up everywhere. And they're mostly in local communities. They are mostly online. They are mostly non-commercial. And they are the Texas Tribune in Austin, the Voice of San Diego, Mid-Coast, Beacon in St. Louis, Bay Area News Project in San Francisco, Chicago News Cooperative in Chicago. It's an interesting phenomenon, and I'll quote, I'm sorry I'm quoting so many people, but there's so many brilliant people out there, and I want to share their words too, but it's funny, when you look at all these news organizations that are springing up, most of them are journalists who took buyouts. And instead of going on to become these car salesmen, they do what they do best, and the only thing they know how to do, and the only thing they want to do, which is journalism. And Alan Mutter, who is quite a smart journalism pundit, said, one of the problems, he said, is that newspapers fired so many journalists and turned them loose to start so many blogs. They should have executed them, but they foolishly left them out alive. I love that. And they're wreaking havoc. But it's very exciting because there's some extraordinary work. I mean, you're all familiar with ProPublica, of course, and the extraordinary work that they do in the Center for Public Integrity and the Center for Investigative Journalism. But there are many, many organizations. Their business models are untested. We in Public Radio want to partner with them, try to help them because this is a good thing. Myth number 4, the internet is the worst thing to happen, is a terrible thing that's happened in the news business. I completely disagree. I think the internet is the most exciting tool for the free flow of information since the printing press. It is an extraordinary tool. It allows us to collaborate. It provides new forms of storytelling. More people can be reached. More people can have their voice heard. There's more engagement. Freelancers, students, citizens, everything. Everybody can have a seat at the table. And the corollary to myth number 4 about the internet is that social media is not compatible with serious journalism. Now, social media is not just about how many viewers you had last night, although it is an extremely effective medium for communicating that information, but it is about engaging the audience as both distributors and content providers. And I will talk to you about the power of social media and interaction with the audience with just one anecdote from NPR. So you remember about 6 months ago, you remember the story about the balloon boy? So remember the balloon boy, okay. So balloon boy captured everyone's attention. It was wall to wall on cable television news. And generally speaking, you know, it's not a very NPR-like story. I say that slightly self-mockingly because we have to be a little self-important, but okay. But nonetheless, it was a national phenomenon. The fact that people around the country stopped what they were doing to watch this was, in fact, was in and of itself a story. So we have a news blog on NPR.org. It's called The Two-Way, and it is a news blog, like many news blogs. A really great way for us to communicate in a shorter, more informal way stuff that's happening. So our news blogger put the story up going, hey, you know, if you don't have your cable television on, here's what's happening. Balloon Boy, people are watching it. Here's the story. And like most news organizations, we have a comment section on our blog. So if you went to look at the comments at many, at some news organizations, none of them represented in this room, but others, of course. In the comment section, you would have seen the usual stream of comments like, you know, where's the parents? Well, all this kind of just, you know, stuff. No, you suck. No, you suck.